This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, folks. Time being 4:45, I'd like to call this meeting of November 7th, 2024 to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will, Selectman Jessman will be here. He'll just be a little bit late. I would like to say a huge thank you to our town clerk and deputy town clerk for all the preparation that they put in prior to the election and during the election. All of the election workers, the moderator, supervisors of the checklist, and everybody that were there helping out, volunteers. It was an amazing turnout, and it went smoothly, orderly, with no obvious glitches. It was done and done well, and kudos to everybody involved. It was an amazing turnout.
Yeah, I second that.
Yep, second that.
Everybody worked really hard.
Yep.
And I think it
It
went very well, very smoothly.
Yep. For the amount of people that were there.
I can tell you the moderator was very pleased with how everybody worked cohesively as a group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great.
It was great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like a symphony.
In the people that were sitting in the audience that were watching in the evening, they said this was probably the best well-run election that they've watched. This doesn't happen, and they're from Massachusetts, so this doesn't happen where they come from.
Wow.
So it was kudos to us.
I was amazed and thankful with the amount of residents from Tilton that came out to vote, and the line for people to register to vote was absolutely astounding.
Kim said we had over 300 prior to the elections registered to vote.
Wow.
And then we had just about 300 or a little bit more.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact number, but just about over that during the process.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, that was incredible. We had a huge turnout, and
Yep.
I thought it was amazing.
Yep, it sure was. All right. We have some donations here. In honor of her sister, Jean Boudreau, we have $100 for the senior center from Charles and Claire Strong. Thank you very much, Charles and Claire. And we put out a plea for donations so that the seniors can go to the Gift of Lights this year. We have a couple of bus drivers that will drive them. And Scott Haskins, Four Daughters Landscaping, Sherry Sprague, Chris and Christina Can from Canman HVAC. They took 2 tickets. So Scott, Sherry, Chris, and Christina, thank you very much. That gives us 4 tickets for the Gift of Lights. So there's 4 different Saturdays that they'll be able to go for a bus trip. Thank you. And I just want to add, there were about 10 or so people that wanted to give even after I had just asked for 4 tickets. So enough for 4 tickets. So I was just amazed at how the community came together for them. So thank you. All right, next on our list is Doug Wade, who wants to come join us in the ZBA.
Right.
Come on up.
Welcome, Doug. You can get your chair.
can.
Oh, yeah, please. This is,
Madam Chair, his application is in the packet too.
Yep, we got it.
isn't that sweet?
That's how we lure people.
You trick or treat. kid.
Halloween's over.
Well, that's how we entice their votes, is pass the candy down. Yeah. Yeah. So
Well, we're bribing you to take this position.
yeah,
I get this every time I sit here, or what? Is a special seat here?
it's always here, but you'll be sitting over. No, you won't be here in the selectmen's meeting, but zoning you may be. It's always there. It's
Good.
usually always full.
Great, super.
All right. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Doug.
Geez. Been around a long time. Been in Tilton here since 2010. I live up on up off of Lancaster Hill Road, Westwood Drive. I love the town. I love my neighbors. I've been in construction, I don't know, probably, 20, 30 years. 30 years, yeah. Just got off a job with Eric. We worked together the last job. And I saw the zoning board in Concord. I did a lot of building in Concord. I saw the zoning board in Concord, and I liked it. I go, this is pretty cool. I like the way the zoning board works, I said, but I'm too busy. I got a life here. I'm out. So, but built and moved on and did a lot of different things, and built a lot of areas and did a lot of fixing up for people. And I just said to myself, and my wife and I were talking about it. She goes, you were talking years ago about getting on the zoning board or something like that. I said, you ever think of doing it? I said, yeah, I don't know. Let me get on and see. So I came down, I met Scott, and he goes, yeah, we're looking, but we need 2 alternates. I go, wow, Christmas is happening today. This is a good thing. I said, I'd be glad to sign up for it and see if, I don't know, am I voted into this thing or am I elected? I don't know what's going on, but I figured I'd just come in and meet you folks and talk to you. And I love the town. I really do. To me, is the town I want to just leave from here and go right home from here. Great town. Anything else you want to ask me? Go ahead and ask me.
So the zoning board meets usually once a month.
Yep.
And when they have a case, and alternates are asked to show up so that you're familiar with the case, so that in case somebody doesn't show up last minute, you can step right in so that you're familiar with the case.
Yeah, but you should continue to be to all the meetings at the zoning board.
Correct.
That's
Yeah.
correct. So you,
Yes,
you
absolutely.
kind of
Yep.
fill in and you kind of know what's going on instead of
Yep.
stepping in and being the third wheel.
Right. And then you'd know what's
Sure.
going on. So anybody have any questions for Doug?
I think if you understand some of the duties that you are as a zoning board and how you fulfill those. I don't know if you've followed any of the meetings or watched zoning board meetings and
Tell me what, I know a lot of towns are different.
Yeah.
I know that. Tell me when you say, fill me in on what.
so it's very strict criteria, and Pat knows this a lot more, as to the reasons why you can change the zoning if you're not, if you want to do it.
Yeah.
So you are a jury for specific questions and conditions that have to be met in order to, like,
The authority of the zoning board members.
Catherine's so good
Or
at
the
it.
zoning board. What do you understand their authority is? In other words, their purpose. Why would you go before a zoning board as an applicant?
I believe what you have written in your laws and books for zoning should be abided by. And it's okay if it's a certain situation, like I had to go to the zoning board one time when I was building. And the zoning board took under consideration my situation. And they were able to adapt my challenges that I had to the zoning board. And they said, great, so I liked what the zoning board had to offer to the public for situations most public people don't know about. I did do a little bit of research on the zoning board in Concord, and I figured that I'm falling under certain priorities and certain laws and certain restrictions, and I'm going to abide by them. And I like that, because if I go to abide by them, everyone has to abide by them.
So some of our, I'm going to say ordinances, require a special exception. It's written into it. So if you want to have, and I don't know if this is or not, but just an example, if I wanted to have a horse rink in downtown Tilton, it might require a special exception. You would go to the zoning board to ask for that special exception. So there are instances in our zoning where you have to go to them if you want to get one of those exceptions. They're the ones that decide whether or not it's needed, it's appropriate for that area, blah, blah, blah. My understanding is you have attended zoning board meetings in Tilton?
I attended one meeting. It was had to do with the
Autumn Drive, I'm just guessing because you said you're on Lancaster Road.
yes.
Was Autumn Drive. Yep.
Okay.
That would have been the only one I've ever attended.
Okay.
And Doug, so you understand that the ask, right, is you attend the meetings once a month, right? As long as they have them there, and you're good with that. I know you said you were busy and stuff. Are you like more retired now, or what?
I'm 75.
job are you doing?
I don't know if you consider that retired. I don't
No.
know. You tell me. But
I never would say that.
no, I wouldn't.
You always want to keep
I'm not
learning.
gonna- My feeling is this: I'm going to work until the good Lord takes me home.
Yep,
That's it.
there
I'm
you
gonna
go.
work. And He tells me in the scriptures we're going to work, and don't stop. You stop, and you're a dead man. I say I'm not. But yeah, I do have time. I don't work 5 days a week. I have my own business. Like I say, my own construction company. I can do what I want.
Okay.
I try to knock off shift's work at probably 2, 3 o'clock.
Okay.
I'm no pressure on myself.
Good.
Catherine, any more? John?
Would you be able to, so the zoning board of adjustment is really one of the most important boards for me that we have. It's quasi judicial. It's, and I've never served on the zoning board. Would you be able to, I'm going to say, attend some classes or go online to some classes, because their responsibilities are so specific. We don't, for example, we don't site plan people, we site plan properties. And any variances or special exceptions that are granted to the property and not the owner. They stay with the property. So you're making a decision as a zoning board member that's very important. And, it should help to shape
Right.
what the town's going to look like in the future, but sometimes those decisions don't. So it is a very important board. But would you have time, or would you
Oh,
be
absolutely.
able to? Because there's some of
That
them
was
are
my
online.
question. That was my question, Catherine. Was do you do you have any type of training or teaching or schooling? That's
Excellent, yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
No
state-
question. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, that's great.
When usually is that learning? Is it online? Or online is.
Oh, they
my-
come up occasionally. I think that's for planning though. There's one coming up on a Saturday, isn't that for
That's
planning?
this week. Yeah.
Planning and zoning.
That is planning and zoning.
Yep.
Good. Yeah. Sure.
But they come up occasionally. And then the state of New Hampshire has a site, and they have a zoning board of adjustment handbook. It's a long read, but it's a good read.
Hey, anything that has to do with politically, I think, yeah, it's gonna
Yeah,
be a long
it's a good read. It's very helpful. I use it.
I think it's a long read. Sometimes you don't read along with it, but that's
True.
okay. Long read.
Oops,
Chickens.
chicken coop door, sorry. I don't know why it
So
doesn't
my
shut those
grandson
sounds
calls me,
off.
it's okay that I answer this phone here? No, I kid.
It doesn't shut those alarms off.
Yeah.
Shuts everything else off. though.
So
That's
I
good.
don't have any other questions.
I don't either. We just wanted you to come in and get familiar with you
I like
and,
the class idea. I really do. I think that's important. I never even knew that, but of course this is.
I
Yeah.
think you can cherry pick some that
can.
are available, so you don't have to wait for them to show up. You can decide at,
Yep.
10:30
Well, you can
at
start-
night, you want to click on one and watch it.
If there aren't any available, you've got the handbook. But the nice thing about the classes is a lot of them you can ask questions, and it's very helpful.
Oh, yeah.
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 Good.
Yeah.
No.
I don't have any more questions.
Well, I'm good.
Are you
All right.
interested in any other job positions? This is how it starts. This is how it starts.
We got an opening on the planning board. They go hand in hand.
After that.
Do I take courses for that too? No?
well, I think the planning board is a really good basic start to the zoning, actually, because then the zoning, because it's such a quasi legal board that you're there and you need to focus and be steadfast in your decision making, and you have to be very, very careful of, number one, master plan, ordinance, and the criteria in which has been set, and be very mindful of your decisions because you're like a jury.
Mhm.
And there's lawyers and developers and things like that that go on here. So that's why we're very try to make sure that you know everything that you're getting into, because you really need to know and you need to learn, if you don't know,
Right.
that what's takes place here, because you can't just fly by the seat of your pants on this one.
You're talking about on the planning.
Zoning.
On zoning,
On
okay.
zoning, yeah.
Planning board, there are a lot of different things that you go to the planning board for.
Mhm.
It's not just, there's a lot of different outlets and things, and it's easier to, I shouldn't say easier, I don't want to use that word easier, because sometimes the decisions are really difficult, but you,
Simplified? More simplified?
a little bit more simplified, and it's,
There are so many different things that apply at the planning zone,
right,
but at zoning board, you only have questions. And,
Yeah.
when you planning board, you have to look at a number of things.
There's four.
Yep,
planning, there's
four
more
things.
than-
Oh, zoning. I
Yeah,
thought you
yeah,
said
zoning,
Zoning
there's
is
four.
4. Planning is
It's
pretty-
everything.
Yeah, you got to look at the whole big picture, everything from dumpsters to signage to
Snow,
snow and
yeah, you
Yeah.
have to look,
Lighting.
lighting, everything, electrical, everything.
Sound, everything.
Correct,
yeah.
correct. And,
Yeah.
and
the difference really is planning. You're looking at a site plan, what somebody wants to do that they bring in, and making sure that it complies with the zoning. You're not granting any variances or exceptions. You're just looking to make sure it complies, that the master plan, that I'm going to say complies with that you're following that forward.
Right.
But you're looking at construction plans, you're looking at plans, and you're looking at, different things, and the same thing that zoning does, but
Right.
more intimate into the nitty gritty of the plan itself.
And I suspect you're real familiar with plans.
Right.
Ah, geez, Catherine, I'm telling you, I've looked at a few of them, and I've had to submit many of them. Yeah, but I find out the engineer that I have,
Yeah.
usually I just sit back and let him do all his, whatever he does best as the engineers settle in with the planning board, and I find that works out best for me. But planning board, I may take a pass on that. I'm not sure that I want to get into that. But, I mean, is it because the zoning board is not got availability, or is it?
Well, the zoning board only has an alternate,
Oh, right.
so
We'd be
it's,
watching a lot.
you're gonna be sitting and watching
Right, correct.
meeting after meeting after meeting.
Okay.
However, planning board, you're in there and in there working now,
Right.
and that you're learning now, which would also apply if there's ever an opening on the zoning, you can
Right.
jump over to zoning.
Right.
With your background of building and looking at plans and things like that, it would be very helpful. That's all I'm saying.
And we
Up to
also
you.
have budget committees and other stuff you can do. That's how I got started.
He's starting to look overwhelmed.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you must have been smoking your dinner before you
Yeah.
came in. Oh, God.
Well, just think about the planning
Yep.
as well, right? If we'll review your app and
Great. Super.
and we'll let
Yeah.
you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah, maybe with the planning of Scott would maybe if you want to entertain something, have Scott talk to you a little bit more about it, and of course, all of them are.
I know this young lady's been on every board, I think, in the town, everything except for probably zoning board.
No, I've never been on conservation, never been on zoning. There's a lot of them I haven't been on.
So yeah.
Good, I will. All right.
All right.
Are we
Well,
done?
thank you, Doug.
Well, we'll be in touch.
Appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, go ahead, grab one or two.
There you go.
Tootsie Roll.
Tootsie Roll, there you go.
Thank you. Have a good
All right.
day.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Doug.
You too.
Great talking to you.
Nice to
Yes,
see you.
nice
Yeah.
meeting you.
All right, take care.
Good
All right, we have some minutes to approve. And I believe there's 2 minutes in here. You can take it.
You should have October 3rd and October 17th. I just realized, I don't know, we hadn't done October 3rd because there was a lot of corrections, Madam Chair. So if you're comfortable with it, we can do it tonight, but October 17th, and we do have one more that's not ready also.
So there's two for the third. The one on top is the yep.
Correct.
That's the corrected one.
The-
Yep.
Yeah, the red stuff.
Yep.
The other one
This
was to
one
show you
wanted some more explanation.
Yeah.
the
Yep.
corrections, yeah.
Yeah, I read through this. Does this meet your expectation?
Yeah,
because I thought it was definitely a lot
Yeah. It
more.
kinda explained the
Yeah,
situation, and I think she added in, she mentioned the added in for petition or on article,
Correct.
just to clarify what, there was a fellow here who asked a question at the end of that, so. That's, I'm good with that. I've reviewed that.
yeah, I read through this one, the corrected one. Yeah, I was good with this one.
Make a motion to approve October 3rd, 2024.
Second, Scanlon.
Motion has been made and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
October 17th? Where are the corrections?
I don't think this one.
We didn't
This
have
one-
any corrections.
We didn't have any
We
corrections on
didn't.
this.
This is first time,
Yeah, this was
Oh,
the
okay.
first one.
first
Okay.
go around.
I
No,
saw
I-
draft and I just assumed that
Yeah,
there was
I-
some.
I read it.
They were sent out, Madam Chair.
Okay, I
Yeah, I
read
didn't-
that one, yeah.
I didn't see any corrections that need to
No,
be
I
made.
didn't see any of them.
That meeting wasn't as lengthy.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from October 17th.
Second, Scanlon.
a motion has been made and seconded. Discussion?
Um,
Go ahead.
you're on October 7th, right?
17th.
17th, yep.
17th, I'm sorry. I missed the one. On page 4,
Yep.
Joe,
Yep.
it says, it's underneath the little bullets there, and it says, no, it says Selectmen. Okay, nope, it's the last paragraph. Selectman Justman asked the audience member if they would like to be on the zoning board. The audience member said yes. But did he ask if she wanted to be on the zoning board or an alternate to the zoning board?
I believe the question was alternate.
The question was alternate, but
Right.
we don't know what John actually asked him. I don't think it was Joe that asked him. It was John that asked her.
Was it you that asked?
Joe asked.
I was going to say, I thought
Yeah.
Joe asked.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I guess we'll go back and ask her to just check the tape on that
Okay.
because it,
I just read it through again, and it's not clear that we're looking for an alternate.
Alternate, right.
good catch, Catherine.
Yeah.
Yes, because the paperwork that Julio was signed was alternate.
All right.
We'll table that one till next week,
Right.
our next meeting.
Next on our list is Chief Sata. Come on up.
Candy right there, Chief, in front of you.
Yeah.
I think I'll pass on. Trying to control this
Yeah, before the holidays. Good
all the
luck.
time. So I'm here before you today to discuss the possibility of putting a fire department water cistern, 30,000 gallon cistern. It's basically underground on Caleb Hill Road at 248. There was a subdivision that was approved a while back. And one of the requirements that the fire department had for that subdivision, because they didn't have any water source nearby, that houses had to have a sprinkler system. Somewhere along the way, there was a communication error, and a house currently is being built. And they're kind of beyond the point of where they can put a sprinkler system in. Talking with my deputy and with the chairwoman about what we could do to resolve this issue. It'd be great if we could put a water cistern at that location, and I think it would be a win-win for the fire department, a win for the community, because that would give us a credible water source within that area where we have none right now.
So you said right around 248?
Yes.
Right across your house.
That'd be, yeah, up a little bit. Yeah.
Has the property owner been approached?
Yes, I've had a discussion with her, and she's favorable of it. The only thing is I have to talk to my contractor and engineer to see exactly where we could place it on the property. She would have to grant us an easement, which would go through our attorney.
Okay, that's my next question. Would we own a piece of it, have an easement to it? And I would hope the easement would be for a lengthy term.
Yes, it's indeterminate in length. The easement is to the fire district, and that allows us, it's a utility easement basically, and it grants us permission to go on the property where the cistern is to maintain and do maintenance and whatever we need to do for it to make sure that it stays in service.
And then, so that's a maintenance easement, but is there some sort of agreement to actually have the cistern there and that you would be able to keep it there for, I don't know, 50, 99 years or something?
It'd be there forever.
In
It
perpetuity.
would, and you would have
Perpetuity.
that agreement in writing from the property owner?
Yes.
Okay. That was a district member question, not a selectman question.
Sure. I mean, and the fire district would pay for it too. We have the funds to do that. So we're always looking for places where we can put cisterns within the fire district to improve our water source capability.
How does the cistern work? Do you run a pipe to it and then run that down the road? Or do you run a tanker to it to pull water out of it and then run that to the fire?
So it's basically it's a cement tank that contains 30,000 gallons of water, and we draft from it like we were drafting out of a pond or a lake
Okay.
or a river. It's the same principle. The only difference is after we're done using it, we have to refill it. So that takes a process after you draft the water out of it. We have to put water back in.
Oh, so you wouldn't be putting this in like a well where it would fill itself?
No,
It's not like a
Oh, it's not like
holding
that.
pond.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a,
Oh, interesting, with all the groundwater we have. And where would you get the water to fill it?
we use our tanker to fill it, and it would
No, I mean, would you
Oh, we
buy the
take-
water from
we-
the district
yep,
or
buy it from the water district.
pull it from the Winnipesaukee River?
Probably not.
River
We
Road?
probably use it from the water district because the water we put in the cistern, we want it to be clean and not full of fish guts and other stuff that we suck up from the river or the ponds or the lake.
Oh, no filters. How interesting.
so you don't get milfoil growing in it. and
Right. We have screens on our intakes, but
Minnows.
they're big screens because we
Oh,
have to be able to flow a lot of water through there, and It's-
Quickly.
it's like a Vegematic when the fish go through there.
Yeah, that's great.
oh, enough for minnows.
Well,
Big enough for
so-
minnows.
So that would also assist other houses on that property, on that
Yes,
area as well.
it would improve the ISO rating in that area within 1,000 feet of the cistern.
That would be really good because I live at 221.
There
So
you go.
that would be really good. Okay.
Yeah, for everybody in that area.
Yeah.
It would be.
It really would.
And their insurance would go down a little bit.
Yeah.
So it depends upon your insurance company. Not all insurance companies use ISO ratings to determine what your rate is,
hmm
but they don't tell you who does and who doesn't because it's proprietary per insurance company. So they don't give a competitive edge to other insurance companies that
Yeah.
may or may not.
Right.
use it.
Yeah.
So it's like a top secret formula.
Yeah, if
Alright.
you've done homeowners insurance, they ask you, how many feet you are from a fire hydrant, and
Yeah.
that would be one of those things cistern
Yes.
would consider as
It's
fire
a
hydrant.
credible water source is what the actual term is.
I like it.
That's it. Anybody else have questions?
What's the timeline for that? You have to go.
I couldn't
before
say right now. I'd have to have my engineers look at it to see what the timeline is, but then we have to
put it on the budget.
see what
for-
the shape of it actually would be, considering where it's going to go and what type of site work needs to be done. Is it going to be a square? Is it going to be a rectangle? The work we have to do by the side of the road so we can create a space for an engine to park on the side of the road. That's not
Yeah.
going to be, it has to be a
Getting
very
stuck.
stable surface.
Oh,
It
yeah.
can't be muddy or a ditch or anything like that.
Yeah, that's just going to take some work.
How
just
is
in
the
and of
line of
itself.
sight from where you want to put it?
It's on a pretty straight part of the road. That part of the road is kind of hilly, but if we had an apparatus there, it would be on the side of the road. You wouldn't, and there's plenty of lights going on. You wouldn't miss it for sure.
So it's right before
I would.
Range Road, right? The bend
Yeah,
on
it's
Range
before
Road.
you come to Range Road.
Bright flashing red
Yeah.
light.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. Yeah.
Well,
There's a lot of ledge out there.
Yep. So depending upon what the engineers say and the contractor says, it actually might be just sitting on top of the ledge, and then
Oh, yeah, okay.
bury it with stone and stuff like that.
Yep.
So it might look like it's on the ground, but it might be just sitting on the
Yeah.
ground.
I mean, you can tell there's a lot of ledge
Oh, there's some rocks
right
there.
at the end
Believe
of-
me, yeah.
right at the end of that driveway.
Right on the left. We will.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
looking to put it on the right side of the driveway as you're looking at the driveway.
Oh, okay. Yep.
It goes down there, so that make it easier to
Yeah.
install it.
I like it.
So it'll be on.
I definitely like it.
Budget for next year's fire district.
So we have a fund set aside for dry hydrants and cisterns. I think
Okay.
there's enough money in there to put a cistern in right now, and that cost, depending upon the site work, could be anywhere from $60,000 to $100,000 for one cistern.
Oh,
So
Consensus?
I think it's a great idea. It sounds like a win-win.
yeah.
What's the question precisely?
just to see if you
Ask
guys
a
would
question.
were going, look favorably on it, because we
Right.
would be making well, it's a state road now, so I don't know if you guys are taking over Caleb Hill Road or not. I know it's been thrown out
You gotta
there.
get a state permit for the driveway
Yeah,
or whatever you do to access the
They-
road.
they're the state's very looks very favorable to the fire department when we're doing these types of projects.
Public safety.
Yep.
There would be state licensing, permitting, or whatever done.
Whatever our engineers and architects says we need to do, we will do. Yeah, I don't know exactly off the top of my head. I know usually I have to deal with DEP, and I have that
Oh, yeah.
process pretty much set down, but the DOT, I have communication with them on this as well, so it'll go smoothly if we decide to do it.
Sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
Would that have
least
to go
what
for
I've
any
heard of it.
setbacks or anything like that? I'm not sure how that works.
No, not for
Construction.
fire protection measures.
Yeah.
Non-municipal is
favor.
kind of exempt.
Okay.
from that, so-
But we're going to hold for a second because Tim has a question.
Oh, yeah.
A member of the public, Tim Pearson, Caleb Hill Road. Just curious, how did you arrive at that location? Because that, I would agree with Catherine, that's not the greatest area to be driving through, I would think, or passing a fire truck on the side.
So the fire truck would be on the side of the road, not on the road surface. So we prepare a landing area or a parking spot for a truck off the side of the road.
But how did you determine that location, I guess is what I'm
I
asking.
guess I went there and looked at everything that was there, and considering that we needed to either make the people put a sprinkler system in their house
I see.
or have a water cistern. And I think a water cistern would better meet the needs of the community in that
So
area.
it benefits the property owner as well as the fire district. Got it.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think thinking of where the fire hydrants are right on that road.
This fire.
You don't
hydrant
have
No,
any.
there isn't any.
There isn't
It's not-
any.
That's why I'm like, wait a minute, there isn't any.
I can't even think of any
There's no
ponds
water
up
up
there.
there.
Really.
I know.
Not even any ponds really close by to do.
Right. We had a dry hydrant at the very beginning of Caleb Hill Road on
Yeah.
the left-hand side there, but that owner, we didn't have an easement there, and they took the permission away from us to maintain it, and now it's all clogged up and silted in, so it's not usable.
Yeah.
So that's why whenever we do anything now, we get an easement,
Yeah.
so it's forever, because
Mm.
we spend good money on it. We want to be able to maintain it and use
Yeah,
it.
I think as long as you, because I mean, I look out at that hill every day. So I think as long as you can level that section out, right? So you can get a fire truck in there. I mean, it's hilly, but hopefully when you start leveling out, it's not all ledge, but
It goes,
hopefully,
for the spot I'm looking at, it kind of goes down pretty quickly. So
yeah,
it's just, I think it's more a matter of filling than, excavating.
yeah, I think you could, yeah, I think you could get one in there.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
I'm just curious,
good.
are they precast concrete or are they pour in place?
Precast.
They're precast.
Yep. Delivered on site, picked up with a crane and put in place.
Pretty neat.
Okay,
That's good.
everyone?
Yeah.
It looks good.
Yeah.
We're all set, Chief. Everyone
Thank you very
agrees?
much.
Yep.
Have a
Thank
good
you,
Thank
evening.
you.
Have a good night.
Thanks, Chief.
All right, we have Selectmen's reports. Eric, you're up.
So one of the things I wanted to touch on was some updated information about Morrison Ave, and Scott can touch on this as well. So I wanted to find out kind of where we were at, and so Scott was finally able to track down the company and stuff. So we were able to find out that they are shooting for the first 2 weeks of December as a possible date. If it is not feasible due to weather, then the goal will be first thing in the spring, and they will make sure that the rate is the 2024 rate. And the possibility is that the rate actually for the material and stuff could go down. And if it goes down, then they would take the lesser of the two rates. So, so 24 rate for the spring. If they don't get it done this in the first 2 weeks of first 2 weeks of December, and then we would be slated for the spring, and that if the rates go down, we would get the lesser of the two rates. So
Very nice.
it's hard to tell. I mean, I know the plants are supposed to shut down, but the weather has just been, I mean, they're paving like crazy right now. So there's a possibility, right? I guess my only follow up to question, I think, in that conversation would be, as we get closer, you're going to have Thanksgiving and stuff like that. Like, I'm hoping that we can get a little bit more of a estimate, right?
Yeah.
Because I think it's important that we let the residents on Morrison Ave know, and one of the things that, I want to make sure is that if we are going to, if this is going to get put off till spring, I want to get it on the books. Like I want to try to get it so that we have dates set, so that way the residents aren't guessing again or getting frustrated about it. I mean, obviously, this has been going on for a while, so.
I agree.
And if it goes into the spring, we'll have to encumber the funds because we have the funds
Correct.
Yep.
in this budget now, correct?
Yes.
We already have a contract.
They were approved through, the board approved expending ARPA funds for this. So as long as we have the contract signed, which it is, and that's a commitment.
Okay, so we don't have to make a formal.
Nope.
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah.
My concern about this project is getting it right this time.
Yeah. Well, that was,
Who's going to oversee this? Who's going to make sure that the final grade before any asphalt goes down is correct? And the drainage
Yep.
that they're able to put in is correct.
yeah. And so that we didn't get that deep into the conversation, but I would agree with you. I mean, I think we definitely need to identify that, because I don't want last minute them to show up. And
We haven't had that conversation with our public works.
They're pretty good at roads and drainage.
I know, but we haven't had that. We haven't done them the courtesy of what is our expectation? What do we expect from them?
Right.
And I think it's very important we do that as like at the next meeting.
And in the event that they don't feel comfortable, we can always call in Keach and Nordstrom for the guy that does specifically driveways, roads.
Uh-huh. Something.
Madam Chair, my understanding of that, and I was a guest at that meeting, was that they were comfortable, and the board had considerable discussion about milling it versus reclaiming it. And milling it would deal with the grade issue. And correct me, Tim, if I'm wrong, but milling it would deal with the grade issue somewhat better. I do agree and have the same concern as Catherine, is that, if we need to identify that before then we probably should have looked at an engineer to do that. But I think at this point in time, we're committed to counting on them to make sure that milling it is the answer. I think that was identified by Matt in this conversation they had here.
We also had an extended conversation about how much milling would be done.
Correct.
And he did state that once they got on site, it could be more.
He said
Correct.
5 inches nominal,
Right.
and that some areas
8 inches.
might be 7 inches,
Yeah.
and some
Exactly.
might be 2 inches or
Right.
3
So when-
inches.
Yeah.
So
But the big
yeah.
thing is that there was a discussion on all of the storm drain lids.
Yep.
I mean, the sewer lids had to be lowered and all that in order to do it, along with they were installing another drain. So if they're, who I don't believe that they are the ones that are actually doing.
Public Works does the sewer
Yeah.
drains. for
So,
us.
Yeah.
so the problem is that if they say, okay, all of a sudden, oh, we're going to get in there the second week of December. And do we have all the lids? And do we have the manpower?
Right.
Is Public Works ready to roll at, hey, we're coming there tomorrow?
I think
And
we need to have a
that's a
meeting.
difficult
Mhm.
thing, because if they put it in and then they start working on it and their guys don't have that, or we get snow, or, not favorable conditions, because it involves cement and for setting the lids and bricks.
Concrete.
Right.
Concrete, Captain, or
Concrete.
You're
cement?
not supposed to
Concrete or mortar.
See the look?
mortar. That gray stuff, right? Well, sometimes it's white.
Mortar
Okay,
or concrete.
I'll give you some more.
Cement is a product that makes mortar or concrete.
Let the record show.
I'm gonna take
So,
your
so
expertise
the
on that.
idea is that, for them to come in and roll and rip it up, then they have to leave what they ripped up done for Public Works to do it. And I think there was only 2 sewer lids. I'm not sure, but do they
Down
have
at
all
the
the
bottom.
stuff? Can they mobilize and get all this done while the other company can wait how many days, 2, 3 days, to put in new storm drain lines and the additional storm drain? So that's there's that whole other part to it that, and as Eric was stating, we don't want to go and all of a sudden, oh, they got to get up there real quick and do it.
Right.
Because that's the part that was missed last time, and we're right at the cusp of missing it or running through it again.
Thank you. I agree with all of that, but I'm also
point,
concerned with the
John.
finished grade.
Yeah.
What are we going to establish as, okay, we're happy with the milling. This is the finished grade. Now you can put your layers of asphalt.
Well, let's talk to Public Works
That-
and
that-
start there.
Yeah, that would be a conversation I'll have with Shane.
Yeah.
And I just assumed, and he didn't know I did tell him I was chasing him, trying to find out a commitment date, but he didn't know. I just assumed that he is aware that after that meeting, he was here, that he was part of that discussion, so.
And it's just a lot of work for.
It is.
All right, anything more, Eric?
Trunk or treat was awesome.
That was awesome.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah, I was very happy with that turnout. So, nope, I don't have anything else.
Okay. John?
I guess, just wondering, see, get some notes. Didn't know where we stood with the street light on Main Street up by Sherwood Drive at that intersection.
I can fill you in. So there hasn't been any movement on that. I'm waiting on Eversource. They believe that's a state-owned light. And so I've been going back and forth between Affinity and Eversource on that. So,
You know, on that road, there's lights all the way down. All of a sudden, there's one in that exact same line that doesn't have one.
right.
So
There's been no progress as yet, but hopefully soon.
I know when they first installed them, and I drove around and looked, I brought it up. So that was like, what, 2 years ago? So I don't want to keep kicking that down the road too much. The other one's the entering Tilton sign.
Nothing. I've got nothing back. I called them. The last time I called them was after our last meeting, and I have not heard anything back. I am contemplating asking Shane to go up and have some of his staff go up and just see if it's something that they can entertain. Is that something that, if it's just a bulb or whatever, but if he thinks it's something more complicated than that, then I think we're going to have to call our own electrician.
So Casey's gone. Casey
Right.
was
Right.
he right on everything for helping out.
Yeah.
Anything to do with the town that we needed, and I know we've used him a lot. And there's somebody new.
Bill is who I spoke to. He's an assistant manager. And he told
Joy.
Joy?
Yeah,
No, I spoke to
because she's the manager. It says
Joy
on
is the
sign.
manager.
Yeah.
Right. I spoke to Bill. Bill told me he would talk to Joy and he said, I'll take care of the matter. And then when I called back, he hasn't returned my call. So I think he might have forgot me and then just went through, but I will check further. I'll call back. So.
And the other thing with that is there's an island when you come out to that intersection, and they
Yeah.
got the lights there. So when you come around the corner, you cannot see that island whatsoever. And
Yeah.
somebody has already struck.
Yeah.
the
I
stuff
noticed
at the
that
end of the
driving
island.
in there.
So we have
Yeah.
a lot of lighting and safety issues.
Yeah.
And we've had fatality, I believe, up there, and
Right.
injuries.
Right. The next
too,
one.
so
Yeah.
it's a big one. The other thing, I didn't see High Street on the agenda. I didn't know where we stand with that. If we spoke to the abutters that said they were interested.
It's under old business,
Yes.
town
I didn't see
properties.
it on the agenda.
Yeah.
Up top,
Okay.
John.
But specifically High Street, I was wondering
Oh.
if we did talk about that.
I have not spoke to anybody from High
Yeah.
Street.
And we're already past that on the agenda.
Yeah.
That's why I asked.
I put it down the bottom for tax rate, under tax rate, because we're really behind on our whatever we're doing. We took a lot of time with the chief.
That's it. I'm good.
Joe?
Just that the budget committee is meeting every Wednesday at 6 o'clock right here in this room. For those of you who want to come and be part of that process, this week we did Pines Community Center and the Hall Memorial Library. And they explained their functions and their budget requests. It's available on the website, or will be.
It is.
It is. There you go. And we didn't really talk. The budget committee didn't really talk about it. We just listened and asked lots of questions. But no votes.
No votes?
No votes. I think we're gonna see everybody and then make
And then
votes
vote.
as we go. I think.
That's what they've done in the past.
Yeah.
They've gone through it
They'll go
all.
through we kind of do that here at the Selectmen's table too. So,
A lot of information those outside agencies bring.
yeah.
That it, Joe?
That's all for me.
Okay, thank you. Catherine?
So. At the elections Tuesday, I had a number of people approach me about the projects on Route 3, specifically the one on the old Anchorage property. Extremely concerned about the increased traffic on Route 3. We all experienced that when the tanker outlet first opened and exit 20 started being developed. So now we've got the one down by the Anchorage, the one on the corner across from Manville, and there was another, and then the possible one out on Manville. So my thought was we have some type of public input meeting for residents, especially those down by the Anchorage project on both sides as communities. And anybody else who wants to attend who's concerned about, the impact of these. And perhaps we ask DOT to attend. A lot of people were really, really surprised that there is no light on that corner at the Anchorage project. I mean, we had some pretty colossal accidents there in the past. But the increase in traffic from that project is going to be huge.
Just above that, kitty corner diagonally on 770 is a development where they clear-cutted the entire lot. It's going to be a development. They don't know exactly what yet. They haven't determined. And then abutting that is 40 townhouses that have already been approved.
Yes, that's an old approval.
Right. So you have traffic coming in and out of there in the corner. You'll be traffic go there, and then the preserve or the inn at Lake at Winnipesaukee, whatever it's called. So at that corner, I totally agree with you.
Somebody made the comment, and it really made a point with me that they said, what does DOT Route 3 was not designed for the amount of traffic that's on it now.
Oh, no.
We know this. It
No.
doesn't have the width, the shoulders, forget it. And now with all this new development and the new traffic, he said, what did they do? Just throw up their hands and said, we give up, whatever. But that seems like they're not concerned about it. I'm very concerned after the conversations I heard Tuesday.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
I don't know what you guys think, if that's a good idea.
I think it's a wonderful idea.
I think it's a great idea.
Especially
Sometimes it's-
DOT to be there because, they have these 10-year plans and if they're going to do something, they need to start thinking about that.
I think one of my thoughts is like a pet peeve that I had was when I was commuting from Franklin to Laconia, it was 13 traffic lights from there to Laconia. And that in of itself, right, can be a huge frustration. So I can see people that are commuting would have a frustration with that. But I would think that the increased traffic does cause a serious concern. And I would agree with you, just the influx of people when exit 20 really started to get developed. I don't think that people really expected it to be as big, but maybe they did. And so I would agree with you. Route 3 was never built. I'm not an engineer, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out when you're driving that road.
Yeah.
I don't think that they projected the amount of, when the preserve went in, that they projected the amount of projects going in. And then when John's project went in, DOT at that time asked for a meeting because they wanted a weight study and they wanted all of this. And the Manville project got together with 8 or 9 different DOT personnel. John Bernard was there. People from Manville project was there. Engineers from the different projects were there. And I said, I just have one question. Do you folks know the projects that are coming forward on Route 3 to plan ahead? And they didn't. They didn't. And I would have thought that just by a driveway permit or getting a driveway permit would, somehow trigger that, oh, wait a minute, this is a project coming up. But it doesn't. That it just stays in that little district, if you would. It doesn't go out and say, hey, this is what's happening in the world today. Look at Tilton. And we have like 10 different projects happening all at once within a year or so. It's not getting out there. So when a project is approved here in the planning and zoning area, it's all approved. It goes right to DOT here from this office.
Well, I think, and maybe I'm not right, and Chief can certainly tell me if I'm wrong, that our officers do 90% of the patrolling on Route 3, do they not? Because those are the sirens that I hear.
Yeah.
Those are the cars that I see go by, and I very seldom see the state police.
Right.
So this is going to increase our costs.
Correct.
Excellent.
Well, it's going to increase it no matter what. I mean, just the amount of projects. I mean, just having the townhouses and if any of these other large projects go in, even with the hotel, I mean, think about it. If it's there's an event going on there, plus the restaurant, plus this, plus, yeah. I mean, just,
Plus the liquor store.
There's always turmoil.
I
and
know.
there's clusters of people.
There's
And the
always.
ambulance is a
So,
big cluster of
and you're
people.
not just going to send one officer to a disturbance
No.
at a hotel. You never really would. So
No more officers. But yes.
Response time for fire.
So.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea,
If you
Catherine.
think we should do that, then I'm
I
not the
think
one
it'd
to
be good.
organize it.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, if I might help, Tim and I had a conversation with the District 3 engineers, and I was going to briefly go over it in my report with you. But this prompted a very good question, because one of my concerns has been the projects the DOT is going to do along Route 3 in Tilton, and the projects that we have slated, like the Island Bridge. So it prompted me to call Nancy Spalding, the District 3 engineer. Tim and I had a meeting with Jason Ayotte, one of the other engineers, Jason Ayotte, and Nancy Spalding. And to Catherine's point, we talked about a number of things. And if you'll notice now, the survey crew is down the other end of Main Street. So they're looking at all of that section. My goal was to try to get some kind of a timeline from DOT, so that when we do the projects that we need to do, the town of Tilton and the Tilton taxpayers, that we don't do something in vain and have it ripped up. So that was the purpose of my call. But to Catherine's point, Tim and I'm speaking for me, but I'm sure Tim feels the same way. I'm not sure that anybody understands, and it's not DOT's fault or anything, but I'm not sure the communication is that the state is doing this and the town of Tilton is doing this. So I don't know that they may not know the length or the depth of which these projects are going to affect Route 3. I would assume they have a district patrolman, and the patrolman rides the roads to make sure that that
They made them widen Route 3 in that location. The state and the DOT is onto that project.
right.
Yeah,
They
did
know.
widen it.
They know. And I don't know if they talk in depth about, well, what does that do?
To us.
There's several, if they just ride up and down Route 3, there's several big pieces of cleared property. It's going to affect Route 3 for sure.
It's
They
going
all
to,
have to get driveway cuts,
right?
although that hand may not talk to the other.
That's the question I have, Catherine.
Yeah.
You need a driveway permit. What are you going to use it for?
Right.
Is it going to be for your house?
That
Or?
information may just stay there and not go
Yeah.
down to Concord.
Right.
The other part is some of the projects won't be completed for 2 years possibly.
Oh, easy.
So
yeah.
when, such as like the Anchorage gets done, they do a traffic study as to the flow of the traffic there.
Right.
Okay. Now they get theirs approved, but they haven't added that amount of traffic to the next one
Right.
that says, okay, well, presently we only get this number of traffic here, so that's good. So compounding all of these, once everybody's on, are they going to be ready for it?
Right. I did get a very good, so the board knows, and again, I won't speak for Tim, but I did get a very good feeling from the DOT officials that whatever we need from them, they will work with us. They understood how this board felt about, a roundabout here and that stuff, but they will at any point in time that we need them. And should we have some kind of informational meeting, I would assume that we'd have some kind of a pre-meeting before we brought it to the public. And I would think that I'm sure the feeling I got is that they'd be glad to participate. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's make it happen.
Do we know when the last traffic study was done?
You just had an audit they just put out.
It was a traffic study done for the Anchorage project.
There
At
was
least
one.
I was told that.
Okay.
People have seen it.
Because
Hold on a minute, because Abe is trying to say something.
Yeah, so I received just some numbers. You can go on their website. It's this is from
Is that right for DOT?
LRPC.
LRPC.
This is from David Jeffers. And then so from Route 3, 132 west of exit 20, you've got about 23,105 daily through there vehicles.
West of what?
West of exit 20.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't that weekdays, Chief?
Yes, that's weekdays.
Yeah, that doesn't count the
What
weekends.
time
or
of
holidays.
years was that?
Well, this was sent around May, end of May into June. So, and I could look. There's a website and a link that they gave. I can actually pass that along.
Could you forward that to us, Chief? I'm interested. I always wondered it.
That's not the usual traffic.
Okay.
All right.
So we'll link up a meeting with Concerned and with the board, and then we'll do a DOT hearing with the concerned citizens, right? Is that the way we want to
Say
do
it
it?
again?
We're going to do a meeting with the DOT,
Just DOT?
yeah, and then have a public meeting with DOT and whomever else we want to invite, Joe Kenny.
Seems like the property owners that own those big cleared pieces of land should be invited.
Yeah,
as well.
that would be a great idea.
They should know what's going on.
Right.
We should publicize it heavily, because even people who don't live in the area
People in
travel
Franklin,
the area.
Right.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
it's like
Correct.
Eric goes
Oh, I
going to
remember.
work. He's going to travel through that corridor.
Yeah.
I go through Laconia every morning.
I mean, it's gotten to the point where I no longer take a left out of my driveway. I take a right then I take a left down across my property across the street, and then I go east.
I wouldn't want to take a left out of your house.
Not anymore.
Oh, God, no.
No,
The other thing is
okay,
what type of work they're going to do through Belmont to alleviate some of the traffic, get them onto 140 going out to 106, which is a road that's more of an express.
Exactly.
Because a lot of people don't even know that. They just
Right.
take 3 and 11.
right.
You can-
You'll take the shortcut over by,
I heard
right.
there was something about a rotary going in
But it sounds
Belmont.
good.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
I heard about
And a
that.
140.
I heard about
Oh,
that.
really?
Rotary up there.
Yeah.
Oh. All right, let's move on. Catherine, got any more?
Oh, no, that was enough.
All right.
Yes, it was.
Um,
So, real quick.
me. Oh, you got something
I
else?
just want to, so who's going to set these meetings up?
I'm gonna reach out to Nancy Spalding to
Yeah.
talk about what I'll call a impact meeting on Route 3 traffic
Okay.
and see if we can get the DOT officials here to meet with the board first,
Yep.
have a discussion, and join them in a public discussion, a public informational meeting.
Okay.
I actually think we'll need a pretty good sized venue if that's the case, to hold it. So it'll probably be, but I think for our purposes here is one, to get a good feeling that DOT and the board and of Selectmen and Tilton and us are on the same understanding of concern
Yep.
that our citizens have.
Yep.
And then the second piece of that would be to bring in the citizens to ask questions.
Okay. And we'll have the chief and the fire chief there as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
We do things up right here.
I'm just, I just like to get confirmation.
Yeah,
Okay.
Absolutely.
We got you. Okay, I have nothing tonight.
What?
Well,
Oh.
no, I have lots on the other hat,
Oh,
but
okay.
I mean, I have a lot on the other hat, but not on this hat right now.
All right.
Too busy on the other one. All right, town administrators report.
Yeah, and I'm going to hustle along.
Thank
First,
you.
before I talk briefly, I did send you my report. You have my written report. I
Mhm.
won't rehash it, but we need payroll signed. We need one more and AP. I know I say this to you every week, but some of you look at it, you just don't sign it. I don't know if that's
I sign it.
okay. Yeah, no, you.
I do the electronic signature.
Amy keeps me in touch, but
I look at it, but don't sign it because I look at it, then go to the drive and actually look at the page, the timesheets, and then I go back and forget.
okay. And you have several things in the red folder to be signed.
Goodness.
That's
Land use change tax, Doug Wade ZBA application, the seller's abatement that you already approved.
Yep.
A PAR from a non-public a while ago. And we're gonna have another non-public at the end of this. In the green folder, nice stuff. Appeal withdrawn
Yep.
on a abatement. Tim's gonna talk to you in his section about assessing contracts. We need to get those signed. We have been, both Tim and I have been pretty busy with a lot of things. Tim, obviously with the finance stuff, but in my report, you're going to see some movement on the Island Bridge, concerns about the town hall that were pointed out to me by Selectman Jessamine. Thank you, sir. The interior office space concerns, we're going to keep on the front burner, please. And I'm going to propose or get together with somebody and come up with some potential ideas. We did have, again, the DOT meeting with the District 3 folks, and that was very productive. We've got a good line of communication open there. Happy to say that we have our dedicated employees in land use. And Jane Alden on the planning board will be attending a Saturday meeting. That's obviously their day off, but their dedication is greatly appreciated. As Eric covered, Trunk or Treat was a huge success, and it was nice to see all the smiling faces. I will move forward on a number of discussions tonight, and I will stop there. And Madam Chair, unless there's any questions.
I have just one question. The item for the crosswalk signage,
Correct.
are we good to put those signs?
We are not. We're waiting. District 3, that was one of my questions to them,
Okay.
was they were supposed to send Tim and I a pamphlet that described exactly what changes we need to make on the current signs, which will be minimal.
Yeah.
But we will be able to, and I've talked to Shane, our DPW director, about getting that signage, what he needs to understand and the complexity of getting those signs up in areas that we can once we meet
Yeah.
the DOT criteria. Got to change the sign a little bit.
Yep.
And it probably won't happen till spring.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think
A question
Go ahead.
just dawned on me. What is the state law about taking down those political signs?
Second Friday after the election.
Correct. Correct.
And then on Monday following, we'll go with a dump truck and fill it up.
If that's what
I
we
am
need.
Saturday morning.
so sick.
Saturday morning after the Friday.
I'll volunteer to help
I'm gonna go around. I am
Every
with
sign
you.
is
They
good.
are, we are so glutted. And I've noticed a lot of them, especially right by my house, were blown over or knocked over or ripped over and have been down ever since.
Ever since, yeah. I would like to just throw in here that I will talk to Shane. I'd prefer to have his people do it on town, or I think the state's going to do it, but we'll communicate with the two. But I want to make sure that we have lights and people with vests, and we don't have somebody out there. One of you folks, and I know you mean well.
Leave it in your hands.
Yeah. Okay.
Just make note that I
Okay.
don't like those sounds.
Okay. All right.
That's
Thank you.
because we don't have offsite advertising too. So if it's
Right.
offsite advertising, that
Right.
comes out too. So I don't think there's anything unless it's. a
There's some
political
outside
statement of somebody's
advertising.
property.
I have some interesting ones I haven't quite figured out. I think I'm gonna have to take the long walk. They're on the ramps to get on and off
Yeah.
Everywhere.
93.
Oh, yeah.
That
I
was
know
clever.
you're talking about.
I saw them on the highway themselves.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not gonna stop there, but I was trying to figure out where to park.
Right. It's very dangerous.
Okay.
All right.
There you go.
Tim, you're up.
Okay.
Grab a chair. Want me to grab it?
Well, these
Got a mic? Oh, yeah. Okay.
these were riveting reads.
Isn't technology
Holy
great?
moly. Oh, so these are things.
Okay,
Oh, yes.
so in my report, which you have in front of you in the binder under finance, there's a number of items that I'd like to have approved, and I'll go through those, and then just a very brief budget and year-end update, and then really to get into the main discussion for tonight, which is setting the tax rate, which we are all set to do. So first off, as you know, that we received 2 bids from our RFP that we sent out. And as it turns out, one of the bids was imperfect in that it did not address all the issues that the board wanted. It was for utilities only.
Yep.
And as such, it was $104,000 just for the utilities alone, which would be not in keeping with
Common
the
sense.
costs of our prior contracts. So in any event, it really boils down to making a decision on the remaining bidder, which was our existing vendor, Avatar. And there's an option where you could go a 1-year contract or you can go a 5-year contract. You don't have to do it tonight, but as Scott mentioned, it's something that we should do soon, and that I would not recommend doing the bonding on it. It's an option that's listed on each one. We have an experience with this vendor. We shouldn't need that. And in any event, I would recommend the 5-year because they're then locked into that pricing for us. But it's a significant amount of money, and I understand if you want to wait on that, but
That's a tax card and card.
that's everything. That's everything. The data for 5 years, and then the update assessment at the end of the 5 years.
Plus home visits.
Right.
Plus
A number of things, and that also includes it includes both phone reviews as well as in-house, in town hall reviews to sit down with people. Some people did take advantage of the by telephone reviewing their assessments because they were either out of state or were unavailable and at work. And other people wanted to come in and sit down and meet with them. So now that is one of the requirements of this agreement.
I have a question because I'm new to this specifically as well. So does this, now, because I look at this number and I'm like, that's huge. So does this seem like accurate?
Well, she does an awful lot of things in there.
Well, that's,
so
yeah, so that's
if
why
you
I'm,
break it down, this contract is also for, go ahead, Tim.
So there's,
yeah, I see the list of all the
two,
things. Yeah.
really two portions of it. There's
Right.
the annual amount where they're providing the assessing services during the year, doing all the pickups, the data verification, that sort of thing. And then there's the update contract at the end where they do all the statistical analysis, meet with homeowners, that sort of thing.
Right.
We do have a capital reserve fund that we set money aside in each year through the warrant article process that takes care of the 5th year update. So that pays for that in its entirety. And then the other portion, the annual data verification and assessing services, is budgeted within the operating budget. So so it's not paid out in an annual basis like that. There's a kind of a lump sum that we're putting aside each year at the end for the update.
Okay.
Some of our other options is that we could hire our own private assessor as an employee, which means all those trainings and standing up for it.
Yeah.
I think the subcontracting, it has a lot of benefits because they're very familiar with the laws and everything as they change.
And they have to be licensed.
You have to
too.
find one.
Yeah, they have to be licensed, and they're in very short supply because we had difficulty getting people to respond to us. The ones that did respond said that they were full up with clients already. They couldn't take on any additional towns. So.
Okay, I move that we
I
approve.
have, yeah, I read the contract, so I have a couple of questions. I'm sorry. They're not big questions.
Okay.
So one of the things that bothers me is they go to the properties, not all of them every year, but when they go to them, they don't update the picture. And to me, that seems a very simple thing. When I go to my property, the car that's parked in the driveway, I haven't known for 30 years.
Yeah, there's several trees on my property that don't exist anymore.
So,
Yeah.
when you look at a tax card, you expect to see at least something similar as to what's there today. I mean, sometimes you look at them like, that's not what's there.
Yeah, I noticed that.
So I think that would be helpful if they'd update those pictures, and it doesn't seem like a difficult thing to do.
No.
Especially if they're taking.
The other question I have is the well, actually, there's two. I didn't circle the other one. Sorry. They want us to set up basically an office space for them. Now, we used to have that downstairs in the downstairs meeting room. There was a computer, they had some files. Could we not do that again to suffice, rather than going through the expense of providing them with their own private office?
We have an office space.
So they, that's the way it's always been listed in the contract, and that's their standard contract. But we do provide office space for them. When the assessor is in, she's sitting at the the building code inspector's
But a
desk.
few weeks ago, we heard that that was inconvenient, so we needed to expand our office space because they're taking up space that's needed by the code enforcement and the blah, 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 blah.
Not for the assessor.
That was one of the reasons why we needed to look for new office space.
Well, it can be crowded and there are other times, the assessor will be here tomorrow morning. So she'll be doing the warrant, providing the board sets the tax rate tonight. So there are other times when she's here in the office. It's not just exclusively that time, but most of the time it's scheduled so that when she's here, the building inspector is not working that day, typically.
The other one is, and maybe I've missed it or not noticed it, to aid the assessor by acting as the secretary. Duties may include typing, record keeping, appointment scheduling, and any other duties typically associated to a proper and efficient administration of assessment tasks, etc.
So because we are the keeper of the parcel files, we're the keeper of the communications with
Yes, we do that, but
property owners. Right. So that has always been done by the administrative assistant in the selectman's office, and it's continued. I wouldn't say that it's a heavy burden by any stretch. When they do mass mailings, those are all done at their office, and they pass the draft before us. We make changes as need be.
But this sounds like they could say, hey, I need a secretary. Could you take this letter? I mean, that's really what it says. And I know we're putting a lot of trust in this. We've used them for quite a number of years, and they have been good to us. However, I hate language like that is so open-ended.
Well, I understood. We have to be the conduit of the communication to the property owners, or else we lose that.
But this says way beyond that.
I understand it. It has not been abused.
Okay,
How's that?
as long as I get my pictures.
Okay. So noted.
Okay, I move that we approve the 5-year agreement for Avatar assessing.
As long as I get my pictures.
Okay.
That's
A second?
As long as I get my
Is
pictures.
that a second, Joe?
Sure.
Okay.
Second it.
I have a motion and a second. Not asking for discussion.
I just think
I will.
She just wants her
Discussion.
pictures.
Just
all.
give her the pictures.
that's part of the motion, but
All right,
Okay.
including the pictures. Okay,
Including the pictures.
updating those pictures.
updating the pictures. All those in favor of the
Aye.
motion?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you very much. The next item B is regarding replacement of the town hall smoke detectors. As I reviewed with you before, the existing ones that are in place are about approaching 30 years old, and we need to not only replace those but also wire in the other sections of the building that are not currently covered. So this $7,122 will see to that, and that means that they'd all be wired in together and much safer for fire.
Are they all wired into the box downstairs or just wired together as
Into the
opposed?
box.
They're
Not-
into the box.
The ones that are wired are into the box.
Okay.
Not all the smoke detectors in the building are wired.
But do those talk to each other? Smoke detectors? No?
Mm-mm.
No.
Shouldn't we have that?
Well, that's why.
Yeah.
we
No, I
have the
mean,
thing.
that's what this is.
Yes.
Right.
They're all
So-
going to communicate.
As
so
you
if
can
one goes
see,
off,
There
So,
were none
right,
up here.
when the original smoke detectors were put in that many years ago, it was when Upcountry Builders was
Oh, yeah, I
doing
know.
the first floor. And there wasn't a determined need to utilize even the second floor at that time. So there was this will take care of all 3 floors of the building.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I'd appreciate it if you.
I move that we approve the Mango estimate for replacement and expansion of smoke detectors in Town Hall in the amount of $7,122, and if work cannot be completed prior to the end of the year, to encumber the funds for the work to be done in 2025.
I'll second it.
Motion has been made and seconded.
Um,
Any discussion?
Yeah, I think we should say to cover all areas in Town Hall. So, says expansion of smoke detectors. It doesn't say that all areas will be covered, so that, like the boiler room, we're gonna have a wired one that connects that or that. So just adding the words, expansion of smoke detectors in all areas of Town Hall.
Oh, okay. In all areas.
All areas right
Of Town
before
Hall.
Town Hall. So that would
Okay,
be-
I'll amend my motion.
Proposing an amendment.
An amendment?
Yeah.
We could vote on that separately or somebody
Yeah.
could. amend
I'll
their
second
motion.
the amendment.
Okay, an amendment has been made to change it to
Detectors in, between in and town, all
all
areas.
areas.
In all areas.
Okay,
I don't know.
so discussion on the amendment?
Yeah, so if I may, this is for 13, 13 of them, I believe 6 of which are currently wired. So I don't know that it's specifically in the boiler room, but it could be that if that did not cover the boiler room, I'd probably have to come back if it's going to be additional cost. So just as long as we're all on the same page.
Seems like it'd be kind of important to have one in the boiler room.
Cover all areas, because if there's a fire in one
Right.
place and starts getting out of control, this building would
One
be.
of those
Right, and-
13 may
Tinderbox
well be
cost.
going in there.
Yes, and I honestly, I just don't
I
recall.
suspect it is.
It's been a little while since I had that discussion. So the main focus was on the second floor, but it was not the only one. So,
It'll make our whole building safe.
Yep.
They're very thorough. I have faith that they.
Go ahead, Joe.
know
I
about
call
that.
the question.
Well,
We're voting.
I have a concern on the amendment because if you say, I move that we approve the Mango estimate for replacement expansion of smoke detectors in all areas of Town Hall in the amount of $7,122, then it locks Tim in to spend only $7,122. And if it doesn't include the boiler and the board seems to want it to cover the boiler, then we're locked in on that price.
Unless we amend it with another motion, you come back to us to
You
amend
come
it.
back
Well,
if it's more money
if
and
not,
we
Or we
can
could
Well,
get
just,
that
or we
money.
could just take the amendment off, just go with this
we'll have
and
13,
get that work done.
and I can
and
make
see what
sure
we
that the
have
boiler
left.
is covered if you like.
Okay.
I can't see all areas. That kind of covers all.
I think that we need all areas and be safe.
Yeah.
But I think that we just need to just vote the amendment and just take out the money amount, vote down the amendment and vote, and then just redo the amendment without the money amount.
I lost you. I'm sorry.
The amendment is for a single word, correct, John?
No, all areas, but it has a specific
words.
amount.
The
Well, if-
amendment is about the
which-
2 words, all areas.
Would
Can
you be
I-
able to just come?
Yeah, can I make a suggestion? I think I have a solution to this motion, which would be that replacement and expansion of up to 13 smoke detectors in all areas in the amount of, because then I can come back to you and if for some reason we needed 4 in the basement and 1 couldn't be put in the boiler for some reason immediately, I can come back to you and I can say, we did the 13 for $7,122. We need additional $800 or whatever it is.
The reason why it's that is because we've been talking about having it done up here for almost a year or more.
Yep,
So let's
Well-
put it in there,
right.
move the motion ahead. We'll do it for the 7122. If they
Right.
can't do it, all areas, then we'll come back and say,
Yeah, that's
hey,
what,
we'll
I
change
agree.
it for that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's
With your
get
that's a
that
good
right.
solution.
If you'd let me go ahead and have them do the work while they're doing, because I'm sure within the 2 weeks, I'll be able to come back and tell you,
Yeah.
hey, we're
And what
gonna.
happens if they say, no, we're gonna have to come back, give you another bid on it and redeploy? So
Okay, well,
that's the motion I'm making.
Okay, the question's been called. All those in favor?
I
I don't know what I'm voting on.
I'm
We're voting
confused.
on the amendment, correct?
Okay.
Correct.
Aye.
to add the words all areas
All
between in and town.
You're voting on,
Okay.
I move that we approve the Mango estimate for replacement and expansion of smoke detectors in all areas of Town Hall in the amount of $7,122. And if the work cannot be completed prior to the end of the year, to encumber the funds for the work to be done in 2025. That's what we're voting on. And if it,
I don't think so. I think we're voting on adding 2 words to the thing, and then we vote on the motion.
that added the 2 words.
It didn't
We
add
haven't
yet
voted on
to
it
add
yet.
the 2 words.
I just said it, in all areas of Town Hall. I added it.
But then we'll have to vote on the main motion again.
Right.
We still
We
have to vote
add
on
on
the
the
main
amendment first. We
That
vote
was
on the
13.
amendment.
13.
13
And if
plus
that
yours.
passes, that becomes the main
Yeah, I think we all
vote.
know.
Right.
Okay. I
Right?
think I agree that we do that, but I think you need to put 13 in there because that's what it is.
Right.
I think that's what we got the bid for, was 13.
Right.
Then you can make another amendment after this.
When
But we're
Mango
voting on
came-
hold on. We're voting on this amendment. Anybody that wants to add or delete anything, let's make another amendment. This is going on way too,
Call the question.
something simple. He did call the
Did,
question,
and we're still talking about
and we're
it.
still talking about it. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that becomes the real motion now, the amendment. Okay, so now if you want to amend that, we can do that.
Well,
If
if
you
I
wanna-
may, the estimate is in your binders, and it also specifies the number of units. So it's not necessary to just say 13 within this motion, as I
Okay.
was suggesting, because you're approving the estimate.
It says mango.
I have a question.
It is, but you also have a copy of it in your binder.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now.
When Mango came to give us this estimate, did they look at this building first, second, and basement and stage
Yes.
to determine what we needed for detectors?
Up to date.
Yes.
Not just to replace what is existing and what isn't up on the second floor, but did they go in the basement and say, oh,
Yes.
you know what, you need 2 or 3 here, or we need, so they went and looked through the building
So there's
to make sure that we're safely covered in the whole building.
There's 4 slated for this area here. 1, I believe, up on the stage. I think actually 3 in this room, 1 in the stairwell, 1 on the stage. There are, I believe, there are 4 currently downstairs on the first floor, and then the balance were in the basement.
Okay, so I suspect that.
They went through the whole
Okay,
building,
So they knew what
and
they
they
were doing.
tested.
That's a lot of smoke detectors. So
Mango knows what they're
13.
doing.
And they tested.
Right, but
And they just connect them to the wire.
yes, no, I mean that's 13.
Okay,
So like,
Tim wants
Yeah.
to talk.
I'm good.
Go ahead, are you sure?
Yes, I'm good.
All right. So are we all good now with Mango and we can move on?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Did we
Okay.
vote on the main motion?
no,
Just
No.
to ask?
we did
Not
not.
Okay.
The amendment became the main motion.
Right.
Okay,
Now we got
and
to
I'll
vote on
make
the main motion.
Only upon the adoption of the amendment.
I'll
Right,
make
so now we're going to
a
vote on the
motion
main motion.
That's
That's
Right.
my motion. Is the
Okay.
adopt.
And I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Hey,
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, yay.
Okay, all right, thanks. I do try to keep things orderly here with the motions that, as I think about them, but in any case, thank you.
Sorry, Sue.
The actuarial agreement, item C. So part of our auditing process each year is we have half of the actuarial costs spread over 2 years. So in other words, there's a contract amount of $38.50 for a 2-year actuarial services, and so that covers 2024 and 2025. We've done this for a number of years. This is required for other post-employment benefits. It's part of the GASB Statement 75. And what I'm proposing to do is by having this approved now, and then by encumbering this for next year, we can take it out of the budget, the 1925 for next year, so I can reduce the auditing costs for that year.
I move that we approve engaging Jefferson Solutions Incorporated for the actual services for the auditing years of 24 and 25 for a total cost of $3,850, of which $1,925 will be extended this year, and the remaining $1,925 will be encumbered for 2025.
Second. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. D is the annual Tilton, the Alert Tilton annual contract, and I would just like a consensus on this. They provided us a 25% increase in costs, which I complained about and was able to negotiate it down to an 11% increase. It is over the $1,500, but we are really tied into them, set up with our database with them, and it is an unlimited amount of alerts that we can send out. So just like a consensus on that, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Good.
Great, thank you. And item E on the next page. So this is related to trying to reduce our costs expended for a subscription service through Axon, which is for the body-worn cameras. So one large cost component of the Axon contract is purchasing this subscription for video storage. So what we're looking to do is to spend $1,200, which will give us 12 terabytes in a RAID setup in a self-contained unit that would be housed within the inner evidence room. And I utilize this particular hardware and software for both the PD and for Town Hall for our backup systems. And they've run flawlessly for years. In fact, I'm getting ready to replace one of the disks in the Town Hall system that's been running for 9.7 years. And it provides redundancy, and you can lose multiple drives within this unit in that 12 terabytes and still be able to preserve your data. So working with the chief and also Lieutenant Salmon and Sergeant Foster, we've come up with a way of doing this. It's going to require that I'm going to have to spend an additional $1,200 in hardware and software for this, which I would spend out of this year's budget. So I would just like a consensus for that because I will be over budget.
So I had a
Yes.
question, and perhaps the chief can answer me. Under the Axon contract, don't we have cloud storage that everything gets uploaded to automatically?
Right. So what we're looking at is we're actually over our storage limit currently. We pay for 1 terabyte, and they're going to hold us to that. So we're looking to basically offload those things in a set type of schedule so that the chiefs worked out a methodology of doing this on a periodic basis. So 1 month drops off, 1 month, is the next month is there's
Like
room
every
for
30
that.
days.
And so it's rotating on a constant basis. This device would not be connected to the internet. It would just be connected periodically for updates to the software that runs the system. But otherwise, it'll be exclusively dedicated to the inner evidence, and that's where it would be housed for security.
How long will it last?
Well, we've been running ours in Town Hall and PD for over 10 years. So,
No, this I don't mean.
oh, the video evidence?
How long, the 12 terabytes?
Oh, how long will that hold us?
How much storage?
That's a significant amount of RAID storage. So we have more storage than that. We have 24 terabytes, but it gives us a protected 12 terabytes. So that's 12,000 gigabytes.
That means nothing.
That's
Right. That's a lot of
120,
bytes.
that's 120,000 megabytes, I
It's a
believe.
very
That's like talking cement to her.
Oh, exactly.
How many
It's,
hay bales?
How much cement is it?
so in any case, 12 terabytes is going to be
Yeah.
going to hold us for quite a while. And these units, you can put a sidecar unit onto it. And it also has the ability to offload onto USB drives or other things. So if they want to keep multiple versions of something that's particularly important, they can do that. And also if they need to provide that for some sort of court evidence or something else, it's very easy to get off of there.
I know evidence is complicated, but how long do we have to keep these videos?
All depends.
yeah.
Yeah, it all
I mean,
depends
if the
with.
case is
yeah,
dismissed and
There's
gone.
there's RSAs for that. That's what the problem is. A lot of these things you have to keep for a long, some of it forever. So you have to get them off the cloud. And I know that question was asked, but you have to get that off the cloud because that's where you get the money. I mean, the cameras are nothing. The hardware is not, it's the software. The software is what costs money. So if you have all that video on there, you have to purge it, but you can, by law, you can't just get rid of it. So you have to put it somewhere to put it into evidence. And this is not just going to be used for the body worn camera. It'll be also used for our Walmart cases, all of our other things. Now we have to buy a lot of CDs, I mean, those just deteriorate over time.
Not perfect either.
And then the evidence we have also Celebrite, if anything, that we need to kind of put into inner evidence, and it's better than just being out. So, yeah.
So does that, and you have a procedure and protocol for the operation of that drive and the storage of evidence on it?
That's correct. That's why we wanted to put it into inner ever so that the evidence tech would be using that. And then when Tim was talking about, purging those off, we're pretty much going to be, it'll be a year, like 2 years. So you'll have the probably 1 to 2 years on Axon. So we can just get those videos. Those are the fresh ones. And then as almost that third year, we'll start to purge those videos so that you won't have to use those as much, but you still have to retain those.
On our protocol for using them, the procedure, that would be, you'd amend that to show those.
That's correct.
Specific procedure, because I remember you just did that.
Yeah.
Ago.
We have to go through that anyways. We're doing that full audit. So we have to go and do it. And this is just will kind of tie everything together and help us be able to do it and not have to go backwards. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
I'm just looking for a consensus on this.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm in favor.
Okay, thank you. I'll let you read through the budget updates. I see that I, small numeral 2, missed putting the reduction, that there was a slight change based on the amortization schedules that I updated in the budget. A few other little things. I did add the $10,000 for the Island Capital Reserve Fund, and that is pretty much it. So there weren't many changes there. There was one change in personnel where the hours were changed slightly. And the next time we have a thorough discussion on the budget, we can go through these individual items. In terms of the year-end projection and list of encumbrances, which I had in the last report from me, I'm showing that right as a maximum right now, we're looking at about 148,000 that we'll have left over, less 84,178 that we've identified, which is in the list underneath that, under item B. And so that would leave us roughly about $64,000 of available unassigned fund balance if everything works out as expected. Keep in mind, as the board approves certain things, those are going to come out. But you can see in that 84,000 is the Mango quote in there, so that'll get updated. So in any case, just something to keep being aware of, because as we get closer to the end of the year, we're going to need to make some concrete, cemented decisions. So in any case, on to the main event. So the tax rate setting. So we are ready to set the tax rate, and you've had an email from me that listed out all the reasons why I was originally recommending $400,000. I discussed the use of fund balance and why it's important to retain fund balance. I gave you the percentages that the Government Finance Officers Association recommends for municipalities. I gave you the percentages of where we are currently and where we might be based on different amounts of fund balance. And one item that I did update in this particular report from the email that I originally sent was to increase the amount of overlay used, which is essentially a reserve intended to cover abatement expense, since we don't budget abatement expense. So originally I had $40,000, which was to handle a particular known abatement in 2025. And subsequently added $15,000, anticipating that with the tax bills going out, that we're going to see abatements on a certain section of properties in town, based on people that had a lot less assessment last year, and some of these are elderly, some are others that would not qualify for certain exemptions this year. So I increased that by $15,000. So instead of $40,000 overlay, I've got $55,000 in. And I think the decision before the board was my original recommendation of $400,000 of fund balance, which, if you recall, we have $1,337,000 of fund balance now. So that would take us down to $937,000 of fund balance. We may or may not, depending upon how the end of this year goes. I just explained we might have 60-something thousand to put back into it. So that might put us around $1 million of fund balance. But it is really critical to keep in mind that whatever we use now, you want to make sure that we have the ability to lessen the impact in the next year. And next year, particularly because we are pretty much at full employment now in all the staffing. There's only a few positions that are open, and it's entirely possible we may be fully staffed by the beginning of the year, or close, very, very close to it. So I would expect that we would, the amount that's budgeted for next year, we're going to spend, and that's always been the area where we've had additional money left over. So and not every year we've had money. There have been years when we've scraped by with about $30,000 at the end of the year on a $5.5 million budget at the time.
As it should be.
As it should be, yeah, which was the cause of this.
I know you're right.
A couple questions. So, Ed's at the last report, and I think that was beginning of October. No, at the end of October. We're a little on the low side with general fund revenue.
Right.
And
So
in a lot of areas, except for the police department, you guys are on that. What's the projected amount for that? And, with a lot of our building projects, we're giving us a lot of revenue, but next year, how's that going to work out? Are we projecting the right amount of revenue for next year to cover for that, or,
So it's always difficult. You do have an updated budget, and I'll just remind you that at the end of your expense budget, whether you look at the revenues didn't change from week to week. You'll see that what our revenue budget was, what I'm anticipating our unaudited estimated revenues will be by the end of the year, and then the 25 budgeted revenues. So I'm budgeting slightly less than 25, by about $44,000. And I could go through the reasons of that, but probably better left for a more in-depth discussion of the revenues. But you have to keep in mind that a number of our revenues don't come in until the very end of the year. So particularly rooms and meals, that's a big piece, and that's almost $400,000.
State revenues, that's all meals, rooms and meals.
Rooms and meals it literally came in the last day of the year, last year, the last day. It used to be it would be sometime in December, but in any event.
$750,000 low on that revenue.
Well, so what happens is the revenue is always in arrears. You're always going to see that trailing. And part of that is because during December, we're still processing, there's a certain lag, and that sort of thing. But also, we don't see some of that revenue until the very end of the year. And I have gone through and done my best to sit down with department heads or where we have, good data and reliable trend and, scope that out. But what I would say is that that it's going to be a tough year next year, I think. And one of the cautious tales that our assessor was telling me was that there was a town not too far from us that used an awful lot of fund balance in one particular year, and the very next year they really didn't have any options available to them, and their tax rate went up over $4, and then another town over $5, and people were just up in arms. Obviously, it's an outrageous amount. The use of fund balance not only gives us the ability to manage our cash flow better, which, as you know, I spend a lot of time doing, so that we don't have to borrow. I just this week borrowed for the first time, and you recall you signed those notes that we could do. So, and we cut it really close. But that's what we do this time of the year, but you have to have some kind of asset base with which to do that. Otherwise, we'd be borrowing, at the end of September, not in the beginning of November, and that makes a big difference in terms of the cost of interest and that sort of thing. So, any case, I would still reiterate the 400,000. That would so I can go through this rate with you. By using $400,000 of fund balance and $55,000 of overlay, that gives us a net final tax effort of $3,993,718 for the town portion. The county is a little over $1 million now. It's $1,077,256. The local education is a little over 5.4 million. State education, almost 1.1 million, and then the fire district is at 2.2 million. The big changes, so this would give us a total tax rate of $12.86 for you to go with the $400,000 of fund balance. And the big changes, if you look at how that affects our tax overall, and you really can't go by the rate itself because the rate has changed so much from year to year. Last year it was $20.45, and so that sounds like a big reduction, but then you have to factor in the fact that some people's assessments went way up, some people's assessments didn't go up as much. So there's a disproportionality in what people are actually going to end up paying, and in general, the commercial properties are going to pay the same or less, and the residential properties are going to pay pretty much the same or more, and to a varying degree. Multifamily and mobile homes saw the largest percent increase in assessments, so they're the ones that are going to be seeing the highest tax burden in proportion to percentages year to year. So in any event, if you're to look at the net appropriations for the total, including that 3.993718 million that I mentioned for the town, all the appropriations together are $13,826,625, or a 6.3% increase over last year. And that breaks down to 3.7% increase for the town, 21.2% increase for the county, a 3.3% increase for the school, a reduction of 12.7% for the state education, and then a 26.8% increase for the fire district. So big numbers for the county and the fire. The school, when you net out the local and state, we received some more grant money because of our ADM. So when you look at those together, it went up $17,000 on a $6.5 million net assessment, or basically flat year to year. So in any case, that's at the $400,000. Do you want to spend more than the 400?
No.
No.
Okay, then
It isn't going to make that much of a real difference
No.
to add another 100,000. It just
It,
isn't.
it really
Not
doesn't.
significant.
No. And I
Well,
would,
why is it to keep it for next year?
So what I would suggest is that you have a motion to use $400,000 of fund balance, 55,000 of overlay, and to permit me to set the rate with DRA at a rate of $12.86, understanding that if there is a rounding, it will be in the amount of 1 penny. So not to exceed $12.87 would be my suggested motion to you.
Second.
yeah, who's going
What if, we're in
who's
discussion,
going to
right?
repeat that?
Yes.
Well,
What if
Sue will.
we only kick back in 300,000?
Okay.
Now, I all about getting taxpayers back their money. That includes me. But next year, if the taxes go up 10, 11, 12%, people are going to be really sad. So to artificially lower it now, just make, oh yeah, I mean, we gave $500,000 back to the taxpayer. And we'll talk about next year.
So it in effect, $100,000 difference is going to be about 10 cents, 10 additional cents in tax. And to give you an example, I'll just pick
10 per thousand? Or
yes,
10?
10 cents, 10
Period.
cents on the tax rate. Yeah, right,
On
per
the
thousand.
tax rate,
Yes.
per
per
thousand.
thousand.
All right.
Yeah, yep. So for instance, I'll just find if, I mean, it's, I can plug in a number here. If somebody went from, say, a $100,000 home value before, and they're now at a $180,000 home, that would be roughly, one too many zeros. So that's going to be about a 14% increase in tax for that homeowner that went up 80% in, I think actually the average or the median was 75%. So let me plug in 75,
The best
175.
thing we can do to keep
So
the
it's about-
taxes low is to keep our budget low.
True enough.
Reduce the budget.
Well, and if I may, participate in the county process and the fire district process, because we saw between the two of those, between the county increasing $188,000 and the fire district increasing $469,000, that's a total of $657,000 of the total increase. That's pretty significant.
We need to figure out how to get our residents to the district meeting, fire district meeting, because we have a very poor showing of the town of Tilton.
Because they have it so late at night.
I know, but there's a lot of money at stake there.
A lot of people like the fire department.
So $300,000 would be a 7.1% increase in net appropriation for the town, for the entire tax bill, up $919,000 year over year.
Well, we do have some more property coming online too.
So that should help.
So the reason why I picked the 400,000 was I didn't want to see us get below $1 million on average. And this is a year, because of the update, I think it makes sense. And there's a narrative to it that, you know, this was a big change for everybody and we're using a big amount of money. In the past, we've used anywhere from, say, 100, 125, 175. You know, we've been careful to return as much as we could, at the same time balancing what could be encumbered and taken out of the next year's budget. So I mean, I'm comfortable with the 400,000, but if you want to go less,
No, I take your word for it.
No, I've looked this
You
over
are the
a
professional
lot.
on
It's
this.
good to ask it.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Okay,
So
are
we have a
we,
motion.
Ideas.
Motion's on the table, seconded.
all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, so if you would, tomorrow morning, the assessor's going to be here. She's going to be working on the warrant, and we'll send out an email letting you know when the warrant's ready to be signed. But if you would please keep an eye out for that, and then at
be
some point
electronic.
over the weekend. No, I think we do need
You have to come
wet
in.
signatures on that one.
Yes.
A wet signature.
Yeah, wet signature.
Correct.
I know. The first time I heard that, I thought that sounds very weird. But in any case, we'll let you know. And then if at some point during the weekend or when you have the next opportunity to come in and sign it, that would be much appreciated.
I'm going on vacation, so you got to get that done.
We will get that done.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Unless you have any questions for me, that's all I have.
Thanks, Tim. I
Thanks.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Tim.
All right.
Tim,
That
correct
was
me if I'm
very
wrong.
fast.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but we have to have the warrant signed by Monday morning. Is that right? Yeah.
No,
Okay.
not necessary.
Okay.
Right.
No, I wouldn't meant statutorily, just so we can get the tax bills out. So if we don't get your signatures this weekend, we at least got to have them by Monday. So
Okay.
on the warrant.
Trigger the banks to send some money.
Okay, we have one last item on the agenda, and that's the old business town properties. So that's where High Street property comes up and all the other town properties. So we also have an appointment that we're due in a few minutes. So
Do we have someone? So I had an occasion to go to Simmons Court today to look at that property again.
mhm.
And it does, when you drive in there straight in, it's like, "Oop, there's the brook." But to the right, it does kind of level off a bit. The brook is there, there's a close proximity. Wasn't sure where the boundary line is. My question is, do we have anybody that could look at these properties to determine whether or not they're buildable? I mean, it doesn't have to be, a mansion on it, but there might be enough space on that for somebody to build a modest home.
Let's just get them appraised. See if they build.
Well, I wanted to do it without spending.
Yeah.
Town appraises them, right? We had paid an appraiser. to
But
appraise
they
our
don't
property.
necessarily, they can appraise the value of the property, and we have that on this card.
Correct.
But my question is it buildable? Is it practical to build? You can build on anything, but the question is it practical, cost efficient to build on it? I'm not exactly who you would ask that question of.
I don't know. Lately, people are building on anything.
Well, that's what I mean. And this may be when, I was quick to jump in the ball and say, no, you're not going to build on that. But when I looked at it today, I thought, a
pretty
yurt
amazed.
would fit in there.
Huh?
A yurt. So you said?
Yes.
I like yurts.
Me
My
too.
daughter's got one. It's great.
Yeah. But do you see what I mean? Yeah.
I do.
All right.
So,
The same with the property that was given to us down off of Wolf Road.
yep,
Practical to build on.
we got to find somebody. That's your charge.
I was going to ask if I'm not sure exactly what Chuck's credentials are. I'm sure Chuck could look at it with his knowledge and say, give us an opinion, but is he?
He's not a builder.
He's not a builder.
Building inspector.
This is
Right.
more of a construction field.
Right.
Okay. I talked to the person who's going to dig the
It's all
silo,
personal opinion.
put in the
Some guys are-
concrete slab.
Yeah, because
Right.
they just pour a cement fountain.
And you just can't ask a
And-
builder because some builders will say, I'm walking
I wouldn't
away
touch
from
it.
that. And then they won't touch it. And then the other builder will say, I'm game.
I can.
Right.
Yeah, I can up for a challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or any price.
Still buy-
Is it
people
a
buy
Greg
anything.
Peverly
Depends on the
question?
price. Right.
Is it a what,
Greg
Catherine?
Peverly question.
Well, that could
He
be
doesn't know
too.
about builders, but
He's not a builder, but I think it might be
the
a,
idea is
would it be a Kraus?
I don't
why
know.
does it matter if it's built, if it's sellable, if it can
Right.
sell? If somebody wants to buy that, it doesn't have to be built on. Somebody could buy it as
But do you want to,
an abutter that wishes to make their
oh,
quarter acre lot into a half acre
Mhm.
lot. So they could actually expand their own home.
I agree with
Or
you.
put a septic tank further over on their house or
I agree with you.
such.
But
So
Like
it's
High Street.
value.
if they are, you know, if you could build on these lots, that makes them more valuable.
Right.
I mean, you can sell anything, even Simmons Court. I have a suspicion if we put it up for sale, we might have some butters go, whoa, wait a minute. We like our privacy.
Yeah, and they,
But nevertheless, there's a couple I have questions about whether or not they're viable.
Let's do some more research.
Okay.
so the question I've been asking is, have the abutters to High Street responded yet? At the auction, they stated that they would be willing to purchase that lot.
Yeah.
But, and I know it's going on since like June, right? So I bring it up every meeting.
Right.
I'm asking the exact same question.
Right,
Has
and-
anybody contacted the abutters and said, are you going to go through with it and purchase that property?
Yeah, no. And I think the answer, John, is no, but I will contact the abutters. I'll have to
Well,
look
if
it up because
They're
I'm
not
not,
interested,
right.
and the parks are not interested, and the conservation is not interested,
What do we do?
then why do we
Sell it.
hold it?
Get it,
It's
right?
a-
Get rid
it's
of
a-
it. Put it back on the tax rolls. Right.
Okay. Any more discussion on it? All right. Anybody online that would like to ask the select board questions, concerns before we go into a non-public session? I hear none. Anybody here? No. Okay. Okay. Per RSA 91A:32A, personnel, the dismissal, promotion, and compensation of any employee, or the disciplining of such employee, or the investigation of any charges against him or her unless the employee is affected. One is a right to a public meeting, and two, request that the meeting be open, in which case the request shall be granted. In RSA 91A:32C, reputation, matters which discussed in public, if discussed in public, would likely adversely affect the reputation of any person other than a member of this board, unless such person requests an open meeting. This exemption shall extend to include any application for assistance or tax abatement or whatever of waiver of a fee, fine, or levy if based on inability to pay or poverty of the applicant.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Dawson?
Yes.
Jessamine?
Jessamine, yes.
Okay.
Scanlon, yes.
Adams, yes.
Constantino, yes.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. Is there any more business to come before us?
Yes, I have one
I'd
thing.
like to seal the minutes of,
I will. Thanks. Make a motion to seal the minutes of the November 7th, 2024, because the reasons justify the need for the non-public session still remain.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
And
John?
there's something else, and we talked about last weekend with the trunk or treat that went very well. But what's the first of, I think it might be an annual, the Historical Society put together an excellent historical tour of the graveyard.
Oh,
I
And
was
many
there.
people went and joined in
I was there.
period costumes, and they were expecting maybe a dozen or so people for the tour, and apparently there was 74 people,
83.
83 people who showed
Wow.
up for
isn't that
this.
nice?
And
That's great.
I had the honor of having a non-speaking part, and I could tell when people were coming by the applause that they gave out after each different person gave a history of the different grave
Isn't that nice?
sites.
It was
So
great.
let's,
Yeah.
John,
John,
I think that was,
I gotta say, I talked to Pat and everybody downstairs the next day. I was so impressed with John. I watched him recite history, family history of the Tiltons, and he had a whole bunch of paperwork in his hand. I would have referred to it 99 times. I don't think he referred to it 3 times. It was just amazing. And I would look forward to sitting down like 2 hours with him. And I wasn't the only one impressed. There was a reporter there from the Laconia Daily Sun, and he's like, this guy is amazing. So
Oh,
Lucky to have him.
I have one little thing. That ordinance for the assigning of alternates and members,
yeah,
could you email that to us?
sure.
So we could review it and
Yep.
either have a discussion on, yes, this
Yeah.
is good, or we may want to tweak it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely, because we're going to come into
We did
zoning
vote to do
ordinances
that one.
changes.
We didn't vote, we signed it.
If
Yeah.
the planning board ever gets to changing
signed it.
ordinances.
We're going to be in trouble if they
Is
don't.
there any other new business to come before us?
I do.
Joe,
Motion to adjourn.
second. All those in favor?
Uh,
Aye.
Aye.